Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls.
Hey Rebels, this is Goodnight Stories for Rebel Girls, the interview. I'm your host, Luna, and today we're talking to Cathy Hackl. She narrated the story of Marina Diaz-Pereiro, the game developer and mental health advocate. If you haven't heard that episode yet, please check it out. Hey there, Cathy. Can you please introduce yourself to our listeners?
Hi, my name is Cathy Hackl, and I'm a tech futurist, founder, and fashion and luxury disruptor.
So cool. Can you tell us a little about your childhood?
So when I think about my childhood, a memory that really stands out for me was when I was in elementary school. I was living in Costa Rica in Central America, and I remember that a journalist that was covering a very big war that was happening at that time came to our school to talk to us about his job. And I learned for the first time that there was a job called journalist and that you could get paid to tell stories. It was an amazing moment for me because I had always been a storyteller. I loved telling stories ever since I was little. And at that moment, I realized, wow, I can actually have a job doing this.
So cool. What does storytelling mean to you?
So I've always been a storyteller. It's always been part of who I am ever since I was a little girl. And I think a lot of kids out there are also storytellers. We love telling our stories in our own words. Maybe it's through the written word. Maybe it's through images. Maybe it's actually through video games and what we create there. So I think there's a lot of power for self-expression when it comes to storytelling in whichever form is our favorite form of storytelling. I think it allows us to explore who we are and also share our feelings. Even when moments are not great or we might be struggling, storytelling can help us get through that.
Ooh, I love that. And are there certain moments in your life where you feel like storytelling helped you get through obstacles or setbacks?
So I think in life, there's no straight line. It's a journey. There's many twists and turns. So there's been many obstacles that I've faced along the way and many that you have probably faced as well. But I would say one of those would be at one point in my career, I didn't get the dream job, what I thought was my dream job that I wanted to do. I didn't get it. But that actually was a good thing because it actually forced me to look at a new career path that actually led me into technology. So I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't, accepted the fact that I didn't accept that job. So to me, any obstacle along the way is also an opportunity.
Yes, that's awesome. And who would you say are your role models or sources of inspiration?
So I would say there's two different groups. First, I would say my kids. I have 3 kids right now that are 12, 11, and 6, and they keep me on my toes, and they teach me a lot about gaming and what they're doing in that space. They are, one of them is a game developer, so it's exciting to hear the things that he's doing, and all my 3 kids are gamers. So they definitely, have been a positive influence, a window into the future of sorts for me, and they have reignited my love for gaming. So that's exciting. And then I would say my parents, my mom and dad, actually had an amazing influence because they raised me as an equal to my brother. They never came to me and said, oh no, you can't do that because you're a girl. They were always like, you guys are equal, you can achieve whatever you want. And that has been always a positive influence in my life that has really helped me get to where I am today.
So great. So, you brought us the story of Marina Diaz-Pereiro, a really powerful game developer and storyteller. What does her story mean to you?
I loved Marina's story because it was very raw and emotional. It was very authentic. I love that she was being authentic and being true to herself and her struggles. And I think that a lot of us can learn about that vulnerability, right? She was very vulnerable in creating that game and sharing her story with others. And I think for anyone, being able to see that other people can be vulnerable and that you don't have to struggle alone is really important. I also related to her story because she's from Madrid, Spain, and I am a Spanish-speaking person. I am from from Latin America originally, but did spend some time in Madrid. So I could almost see myself in her shoes and in her story. But I absolutely love that she designed these games to allow others to not feel alone. And I think that there's so much validity and so much wonderful things. I think there is so much value in what she created. And that just makes me happy and excited for what other people are going to create.
Yes, I totally agree. And finally, Cathy, what makes you a rebel girl?
I've always been a rebel, and I will stay rebel for sure. I think the fact that my parents raised me as an equal and not with a mindset of I can't do something because I'm a girl made me very different than a lot of other girls that I was around. But I always knew I was destined to do great things, and I always knew that the sky was the limit, right? So yeah, it's in everything. It's in what I wear. It is in what I do in my work. It is in being on stages all over the world talking about technology. I really think I'm a rebel because I'm a different face of technology. I'm not the traditional face that people think of when they think of tech. And I think that in itself is powerful. And I'm happy to be a rebel and open the path for more rebels to come right behind me.
Thank you so much, Cathy.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
And thank you for listening. Keep sharing your stories, rebels. This podcast is a production of Rebel Girls. It's based on the book series Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls. This episode was produced and directed by Deborah Goldstein, with sound design and mixing by John Marshall Media. Script editing by Abby Sher. Joy Smith and Jess Wolfe were our executive producers. Original theme music was composed and performed by Elettra Bargiacchi. A special thanks to the whole Rebel Girls team, who make this podcast possible. Until next time, stay rebel.